source is necessary for like plants to exist on the lunar surface, and many plants cannot grow in lunar regolith because there's a lack of necessary minerals and sometimes like too much of a certain mineral. Growth, we define it by the height the plants grow and the width that the leaves grow, and the results were surprising with all plants growing, even 100% of their regular. Aquatic plants on the moon would allow for many more innovations, such as fish on the moon. We had ratios of 100% biostratum, 50-50 with biostratum and lunar regolith, and 100% lunar regolith. Biostratum is basically the underwater equivalent of Earth's soil. And the soil was held down in pots with small pebbles above and below to make sure not too much leaks out. We grew water lilies and measured growth every other day, and our hypothesis was that the water lilies would grow somewhat poorly in the lunar regolith, grow decently in the 50-50, and grow well in 100%.
So we had 6 pots in total. On the far left, we had one pot that was full of 100% biostratum. In the middle, we had pots 2 through 5, which were full of a 50-50 mixture of biostratum and lunar regolith. And on the far right, we had one pot that was full of 100% lunar regolith.
And for our setup, we took our 6 pots and then laid down a layer of pebbles. Then on top of that are biostratum and or lunar regolith. Then we planted our water lily seeds, and then on top of that, another layer of pebbles. We put all 6 pots into a water-filled tank, and to collect our results, we measured stem height and the length of the leaves in centimeters.
So basically, as you see on the board, this is a graph of all of the plant heights combined, the 50-50s, the lunar regolith, and the control, which was our biostratum soil. And as you can see, the 50-50 pots grew the best, while the 100% lunar regolith ended up lower than all the others, since it doesn't necessarily have the materials to, grow.
Okay, hello, it's me and him. We're both data collectors, and so every other A-day, or if you're not in school anymore, every other day we would usually go and measure. So we would take off the lid. He would stick his entire arm inside the water every single day, even though it was crusty, he still would do it, and he would measure it. Even though he disliked it, he still did it because he was committed, and I admired that. And so we put everything into little sheets, and so usually when people decide on what the data is going to be, they usually choose the plant height, which is kind of the default. We kind of wanted to go and choose 2, so that we choose 8 as well. And surprisingly, they grew really, 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 really tall. It's like beyond the tank, that we actually had to shift it because it was too small and too compact, but still grew really more, so I'm surprised. And as you can see, the 50-50 surprisingly mixed together was able to provide enough nutrients to help provide growth for each of them. And to me, what surprised me was that 100% of biostratum, if that's how you say it, was the least compared to it. But yeah.
So you can see how we have 2 charts, one for the average and the other one is the standard deviation. The 50-50 front left one was the one that grew the best. It grew the best in both plant height and leaf length. Unfortunately, as you can see, the 50-50 front right, both of them, it did not grow. And
than expected because lunar regular lacks the nutrients needed to ignite sufficient growth.
So during the experiment, we did face many challenges, but the primary challenge that we had faced was that initially we had chosen a different plant to grow, which was also water hydroponic. However, the plant would take too long to arrive and we would not be able to grow it within the 8 weeks of the experiment we were given. So we had switched to another plant. However, when we went to order the plants, when they arrived, it had turned out we had ordered the wrong plant. But because of that, we just went on with the experiment and now we have our water lilies. So in the future we realized that it would be better to think about what plants we want to get, like find the time it would take to get the plant, and we have that down before we start growing.
Of course, we would like to give out some quick acknowledgements. Thank you to our teacher, Ms. Goodyear. We would not be here if it wasn't for her. No biology, no plant moving challenge. They helped us out a lot. So I must say, it certainly has been a good year.
We would also like to thank the Virginia State Grant for giving us the money required to carry out this experiment. If not for them, then we wouldn't be able to have these great results.
So these are both our video links. Video 1 is our intro to the experiment.
And video 2 is our video that showcases our results and more.
Variables in this experiment are the different ways that we planted all of our American water lilies. So over here on the far left, we have our plant which was put in 100% biostratum, aka earth soil, and that's going to be our control. And over here in the middle, we have our 50% lunar regolith and 50% biostratum / earth soil. And then over here on the far right is our 100% lunar regolith American water lily.
The dependent variable was whether the plants survived or not. If they did, they were measured in centimeters by the length of the stems and the width of the leaves.
So the constants of this experiment were the water, the plant type, and the type of soil, which was other than the lunar regolith. We also had to switch tanks because our original tank was too small for our plants since they were growing so fast and so big. So we ended up moving to a bigger tank. In the end, 7 out of 8 American water lilies grew, showing an 87.5 success rate when it comes to seeing any growth at all. The plant, which was put in 100% earth soil, ended with a plant height of 40.5 centimeters and a leaf length of 4 centimeters. Unfortunately, one of the 50% earth soil and 50% lunar regolith plants didn't grow, so we decided not to include it in the average of the 4 plants which used that ratio, and we labeled it an outlier. The 3 used plants placed in 50% earth soil and 50% lunar regolith grew an average plant height of 43 2/3 centimeters, and it ended with an average leaf length of 8.83 centimeters. The plant inserted into 100% lunar regolith grew to a plant height of 34 centimeters and a leaf length of 5 centimeters. We recorded each plant's data throughout the entirety of the 8-week period, and we summed up all of our findings into these bar and line graphs.
course of this experiment, we learned that the American water lilies thrive the most in the 50% earth soil to 50% lunar regolith ratio. The coolest thing we discovered was that although we believed we were growing beta bulbs, we were actually growing American water lilies. If we were to do this experiment again, we would put the plants in a bigger tank from the start. That way, we would have less room for error or damage to the plants. To any future Plant the Moon Challenge participants currently watching this, you should definitely not forget to take lots of pictures and videos for your project. And you should also remember that this is a team challenge, and everybody has their role to play.
We're planting the moon.
So, questions?
Always me. Do you experience any algae growth in your water tank?
Yes, we did. The water was very opaque at the end. You couldn't see through it.
It's funny too, 'cause we get it on our tank and we just just watering our plants on the box stem, but we also had algae blooms on the lunar soil, just the surface. It was really wild. So some of it was universal.
So you said you were surprised that the 100% earth soil did not do very well. Why do you think it didn't do very well?
I actually kind of have no idea. It might have been the seeds that were put in the pot, because they all grew and they all seemed to grow about the same. So I think it could have been seeds.
Question?
So I saw during week 6 on your chart for one of the leaves or one of the plants, that there's a dramatic decrease in the length. So what happened to it in that time?
We probably measured the wrong stem, and that's why it went down, because we accidentally measured the shorter ones.
So, yeah, every plant had a ton of leaves, and we couldn't keep track of which leaf we were counting. That's why there's lots of it's fluctuating because we measured different leaves each time.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yes.
Who was in the moon?
That's our friend Arshia. He unfortunately couldn't be here today.
So he's here with
But,
us.
yeah, he's here with us. See him there, in the picture?
It's in the space van, thank you.
It's in the wrong picture.
Yes.
So, how did you keep track of the leaves? And if you were to do it again, did you think of any creative ways that you could have labeled them?
I think that we could have put a small tape on it so that we would be able to label them, like we would know which leaf we were measuring each time.
We also
That way we wouldn't have so much variety.
taken an average of all the stems in one pot, which would
Any other questions? Great job. The Sigma Sprouts, led by